Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Comic Boom Comic Source collaboration. It's your DC Spotlight for the week of July 8th, 2026. Comic Con will be here before we know it. I will be there, as I always am, doing interviews and what have you. So be sure you're following me on social media for all that goodness. And if you're going to be there and want to meet up, again, follow me on social media and you'll know where I'm at. Yeah, hope everybody's still checking out Comic Source Weekly on the Comic Source YouTube channel. Not a ton of news. I talked a little bit about it on last week's episode. The first couple of weeks of July tend to be really light on news because everybody's kind of saving their news for San Diego or the week right before San Diego. It's so interesting. It used to be like hardly any comic news came out of San Diego anymore because all the movie and TV news came out and it drowned out the comic news. And so all the publishers started announcing like in the days leading up to San Diego instead of at San Diego. But now that the film and TV stuff has kind of moved away from San Diego, you might get one or two big announcements, but that's about it. The big two at least have shifted back to doing their announcements during the show, but there's still several publishers that will announce before the show, trying to get their news out ahead of all the noise. So in the coming weeks, probably not this week, but probably starting the week of maybe toward the end of the week of the 13th next week. I guess I should say 15th, right? Because we always define the weeks by the new comic Wednesday. There should be some news starting to come out, and definitely the week of the 23rd, there'll definitely be some news coming out. So my schedule's still up in the air in terms of when I'm going to go to San Diego this year because of the day job. I may be out there as early as the 17th. It might be the 20th. It won't be. It'll be no later than the 20th, and then obviously the show starts on the 22nd. So anyway, pretty decent week of DC books here. I have a feeling that some of the bigger books that people really enjoyed are a little lower on my list, which in a way probably doesn't surprise some people. But anyway,
Yeah.
what did you think about the week overall, Rocky?
I thought it was pretty good. I thought, yeah, it was pretty decent. There's nine comics we're going to be reviewing this week, and it was the top six I really enjoyed, and there's like the three bottom ones, but even I enjoyed them as well. There's only one that I was pretty very much down on, but the rest were pretty good. But the top five, I thoroughly enjoyed my top five. So, and I'm curious to hear what your top five are, and I can pretty much guess what how you're going to be a little bit of an outlier to perhaps the majority. Dealing with,
Yeah,
but I'll reserve my some of my sarcasm
yeah. Well, I know
when I hear
exactly.
you.
I also know exactly which book you're talking about that didn't land for you. It came in last for me as well.
Yeah,
Um, and yeah, it was one of those books where I read it and I was like, what was the point of this? Why
yeah.
did I read this? Like it was yeah. So anyway, we'll get there, but we're going to kick it off with Clayface Celebrity Dirt #1. Now, DC has already announced there's a bunch of Clayface stuff coming at San Diego Comic Con. We know the movie's coming up. I finally saw the trailer. Um, I kind of go out of my way not to see trailers these days. I mean, I used to be a
Mm.
huge trailer guy. I used to watch all the trailers that came out. I used to go to like so many when I was in college. I used to go to so many movies because I would often skip class in the afternoon and go to the movie theater because nice and air conditioned and dark in the hot summers of California. And man, like there was a couple 3 years where I saw just about every movie that came out. And now I rarely go. The only movie I've seen this year in the theaters is Supergirl. But it was during Supergirl that I saw the trailer for Clayface finally. And as much as I'm not a body horror guy, and I'm not a horror guy at all, it did intrigue me. It did look like it might be interesting. Um, but I'm more interested in Clayface in the comics than in other mediums. And I thought that this book did a really, really good job. It was much better than I expected. It's written by Jude Ellison S. Doyle, who I think is a novelist, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody correct me in the comments if I'm wrong on that. But I know he's worked in other mediums. Galan is the artist. Patricio Del Pesce on colors and Tom Napolitano on letters. I just thought this was brilliant. It was so engaging. I'll compare it to Poison Ivy. I mean, obviously, there's one issue, and Poison Ivy has proved to be excellent for over 40 issues now. But reminding me of Poison Ivy in that it's taking an established character established member of the Batman Rogues Gallery and elevating that character to a fantastic extent. And it's been interesting because at various times it's felt like people didn't know what to do with Clayface, which is why we ended up with the Clayface 2, and then a Clayface 3, and then a Clayface 4, and I think there was even a fifth at some point. This sort of ties them together. I mean, we even had the Mud Pack somewhere in the 600s of
Yeah,
Detective Comics, or
I remember
they sort
that.
of
Yeah.
teamed up or whatever. Like, it wasn't good. I mean, you can find those books even it's a Batman comic, and you can still find them in dollar bins. Because I mean, the entire run of 600 to 699, there's like no value there. But anyway, it's nice that they're trying to go back to the original Basil Carlo Clayface and give him motivation and yet make him scary, whatever. I just loved everything about this. Like, he's clearly misguided, but at the same time, you understand his perspective. Someone else is pretending to be Basil Carlo. Like, there's a big mystery going on in it. I thought the style of art that they used and the coloring that they used, it's a little muted. It's not real bright, but it's not muddy like some horror comics can be. It's almost like this pastel coloring at times, which again, if it's a story about Hollywood and this idea of mystery and identity, it just, I thought everything about it, the style of art from Fran Galan was perfectly suited along with those colors. I just loved everything about this. Again, I didn't expect to like this as much as I did, and I read it. It was the first book I read because it was first in the press portal, and I was like, man, that was really good. And right away I was like, well, this is going to be my book of the week. Like, it was so good. But then I had all the rest to read. So did anything top it? You'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I was very, very impressed with this. Not to say that the last Clayface book that we read didn't kind of lean into some of these ideas as well, but it's from some writers whose work I typically enjoy. Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing, and they did that One Bad Day Clayface, which kind of leaned into some of these ideas as well. Um, and and the whole idea of not knowing what to do with Clayface, even to the point of making him a hero. Like, remember when James Tynion was writing Detective Comics and Batman wasn't in it? It was Batwoman that was headlining the book, but it was a team. It was a team.
Yeah.
They turned it into a team book. Like, I remember when they announced that at San Diego, and it was like, wait, you're going to do what now? And it worked, to some extent, not as well as maybe it could have or they wished it would have. But Clayface was on that team. Not that team ever got like an official name, but yeah, it was like Stephanie Brown, and again, Batwoman was the leader, and I think it was Tim Drake, Robin. I think Damian was there for a lot of it, and yeah, Clayface was part of it as well. I think the Signal was there as well, which he's never really had a. Duke Thomas has never really had a big role, introduced by Scott Snyder in the New 52 Batman, but he always felt superfluous. Like, it didn't need him. So anyway, the fact that Clayface was even a quote unquote hero at one point is interesting. But again, I was blown away. I loved everything about this: the pacing, the characterization, the art. I thought it was really, really good. So, what are your thoughts on it, Rocky?
Yeah, I like the fact that I have a little bit of confusion as a reader, but it's the good kind, because it's the mystery, because Basil Carlo is Clayface, and yes, you're absolutely right. There's been you can go down the rabbit hole. We've had a Clayface. There's many different Clayfaces if you really want to go down that rabbit hole, but Basil Carlo's the classic one. And all of a sudden here we have Basil Carlo. He's been reformed. He's come out of a wellness clinic, and how he's making his way back as a movie star, and he's starring in an Avengers movie, and he's starring in a movie called The Avenger, which is an unauthorized biopic of the Batman. But yet there's a Clayface that's escaped who thinks he's Basil Carlo as well. So I'm a little confused, but on the one hand, I guess there is more than one. There does appear to be more than one Clayface, because this Basil Carlo at the end appears to commit an act of murder, and then this other Clayface who thinks he's Basil Carlo is looking for him, and he even says, "Where would I go if I was looking for myself?" So there's a mystery here, but it's an interesting one, and the reason I'm surprised that it works, because if you'd have given me the elevator pitch for this, I may not have approved it as a fan, but to Jude Ellison Doyle's credit, I do find it intriguing. It seems to work here, and the color work and the art, it has a muddied look to it, which is perfect for a Clayface comic, right from the cover throughout the interiors, and it just works. Now, having said that, it did feel like I've kind of read this story before. This is a variation on Clayface stories I've read before. So it didn't feel as new to me as maybe it felt for you, but I can't deny that it's one of the, it's a pleasant surprise. It never made my top 5, but it was good. It was so it would get a recommend from me.
All right, moving on. We have Fury of Firestorm number 4, written by Jeff Lemire, art by Rafael Della Torre, colors by Marcelo Maiello, letters by Lucas Gattoni. This is in my top 5. In the Clayface book, I don't think I mentioned it's in my top 5 as well. And I will say there is one thing about this book that I don't want to say I didn't like it, but it's something that makes me uncomfortable. I'll put it that way. Which, it's okay to change things up a little bit now and then, and challenge the reader and preconceived ideas of who characters are or what have you. What Lemire has done here, he's really made Professor Stein out to be kind of a scumbag. And he was always the really stand-up guy, right? The stand-up part, and the mature and kind of the wise mentor for Ronnie and what have you, and really seemed to care about him. And that's all changed with what Lemire's done here, and somewhat changed Firestorm's origin a little bit, and turned Stein into a bit of a scumbag. And Lorraine Riley, Firehawk, she discovers that she's been manipulated as well. I've always liked Professor Stein, and so it's uncomfortable to hear that. Okay, this is what's been done to him now. Like, he's not a good guy. He is manipulative. He's been doing it for his own reasons or what have you. So, I mean, that's really what I took away from this issue, more than anything, because it really is almost a character study of Professor Stein. Everything else that happens in terms of, he's got this idea of maybe how he can stop the Firestorm Matrix entity that's gained sentience and perhaps allow him to re-enter the Matrix and reintegrate with Ronnie, because the whole idea, and Lorraine calls him on this, she's like, why didn't you build a failsafe? You were manipulating all this stuff to make Ronnie Firestorm. Why didn't you build a failsafe? He's like, I was the failsafe. It was me. You always needed 2 people to, form Firestorm and control the Matrix. And now Ronnie tried to do it on his own, and his whole identity and intellect and personality has been subsumed by this Firestorm entity. So really interesting. It's nice to know it's not an excuse. It's not redemption for Ronnie per se, because I imagine he might still be held liable for those that lost their lives in that city in Colorado. We'll have to wait and see. But a lot of, other than kind of the emotionality of it and kind of the character study of this new version of Professor Stein, it's a little bit of a setup issue with Lorraine taking the piece of equipment. They've got to get it to Pittsburgh, where Ronnie's headed, and try to use it to distract him and allow Professor Stein to enter the Matrix and perhaps defeat Firestorm. So we'll have to wait and see. I like where this is going. I like the art. I do wish it was colored a little more brightly, but being that it's a bit of a darker take on Firestorm, I'm okay with it. I still think that it would be the perfect, kind of heel turn to find out this is absolute Firestorm. But as it goes along, it's starting to feel less and less likely. But I did really enjoy this, and kind of on a Jeff Lemire note, I don't know if you heard the news, Rocky, but Lemire's JSA run is coming to an end with issue 24.
Yeah.
We don't know if that means that that JSA is ending with issue 24, or if it's going to have a new writer. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But anyway, what are your thoughts on Fury of Firestorm number 4?
I think that this needed to be done because Firestorm was a character that, while I loved Firestorm in the 80s, I've never really liked it since. We needed more drama in this, and I like Professor Stein becoming a little bit more of an a-hole and a little bit more of a hard ass. And look, he lost a son. He blamed it on superheroes. He's a little vindictive. And so he groomed Ronnie and he manipulated him and what have you, but he still at some level cared for him. He did. In other words, he's a complex character, and he manipulated Firehawk too with her origins. And by the way, one could also say that perhaps the chief of the Doom Patrol and even the leader of the Metal Men, they perhaps have their own flaws as well. Professor Stein is perhaps the most flawed, but I like that. It makes the character a little bit more complex, more interesting, and it adds an element to the characters that, frankly, makes them a little bit more interesting. And because especially if inevitably, if Professor Stein and Ronnie end up being reunited, and they become, and the Professor and Ronnie are within the Firestorm Matrix again, and they hate each other, and they're inseparable. They're going to have to learn to get along. And that creates some drama and might lead to some more interesting points. And the other thing is there might be other secrets that we don't know about the Professor. And who knows? There might be Jeff Lemire might have some secrets that we thought we knew Ronnie. Maybe there's secrets about Ronnie we that are going to be revealed as well. So I like this. I like that Jeff Lemire is playing with it. And Jeff Lemire is great with character work and the slow builds. And I'm looking forward to this and to see where it goes. And this was in my top 5 as well. You're on mute, my friend.
Sorry about that. All right. Well, it's a good thing you called me on the mute, because when you did that, it reminded me that we didn't talk about the covers. As I always forget at the beginning. Yeah. So for Clayface, I think the main cover, there's one that looks like the movie poster, which you had in the middle there.
Yeah.
Which is great. But I think all these covers are great. The one in the middle is Dave Johnson. And then Mike Del Mundo has a variant cover that's behind me, and then the main cover, which is by Fran Galan. So I don't think you can go wrong with any of those.
Yeah.
But I don't think I ordered Clayface, but I may pick up that Dave Johnson cover just because I enjoyed the first issue so much. Mm-hmm. Then when it comes to Firestorm, to me, that one, again, the same one you have in the middle there, that Gia March one with Firehawk, she just looks gorgeous. There's also a Mark Spears variant. I know a lot of people really love his art. That's Raza in the middle there. The one behind me is Ethan Young, and then the main cover that's behind Rocky is by Rafael de la Torre. But the Mark Spears one, I know people just love his stuff.
Unfortunately, I don't have it. I don't have that to show. But
I'm not the biggest fan of Mark Spears' art, but a lot of people love it. But for me, that Firehawk one is the one that still shows. I love Firehawk, and I love that she's part of this series because I feel like she's an underused character. So,
agreed.
Anyway, let's move on. Like I was mentioning, Bleeding Hearts is up next. Dennis Camp is the writer. Stephen Morian on art. We've got Matt Hollinsworth on colors, and Hassan Otsman Elhau doing the letters. This made my top 5, but it came in right at 5. It is a little bit of a setup issue, but there are some significant events that happened. Some really significant events. But how it's all going to play out, remains to be seen. As I suspected and mentioned, we never saw Rabbit's mother die, and sure enough, she survived. We find that out from Mush, but we also have a conversation or a confrontation between Mush and Poke, which I sort of expected a couple of issues ago, right? When Mush went and found the mother, Rabbit's mother, and Rabbit, and I kind of expected Poke to show up and stop Mush from doing it. And would he have to kill him? What was going to happen? Whatever. And it didn't happen there. And it seemed like because we didn't hear from Rabbit's mother that Rabbit's mother was dead. Turns out that's not the case. She survived, and she comes to rescue Rabbit in this issue. But that confrontation that I've been waiting for between Mush and Poke does happen here, because basically Poke, they're having this holiday that the zombies have. Where they're supposed to be hunting these live ones in the mall or what have you. And when they have a chance, they catch up to one of the people, one of the tortured humans or what have you. But Poke chooses not to partake. He's like, I can't do it. He can't do it. He runs away. And Mush is like, what's wrong? Like, what's going on with you? Like, what, and he thinks maybe it's because, Poke feels bad that he was hoarding the live ones, or maybe he's full and he didn't want. But Poke and Mush is like, what's going on with you, man? Like, you've been hiding stuff, whatever. And to Poke's credit, he tries to confide in his friend, because Mush is like, we're supposed to be brothers in arms, whatever. And he shows him his heart, and that he's got a heart that's beating, and that just sends Mush off the deep end, right? Like, Mush is a zombie, and when he sees a beating heart, he considers Poke to now be a live one, and so Poke has to put him down. It's kind of tragic in a way. And he runs up. Poke ends up running off with Rabbit and Rabbit's mother. So really kind of crazy turn of events. It seems that Poke has chosen his side, but obviously the communication barrier with Rabbit and Rabbit's mother is still there. What the other zombies are going to do, they know that Poke and Mush are missing, but when like what Poke did, Poke set Mush on fire and it caught the whole mall on fire. So Poke may be able to play it off. Oh, Mush got caught in the fire. I couldn't save him or whatever. But it is interesting. It's interesting because I say it's a bit of a setup issue, even though these major events happen. But we didn't get a lot in terms of like what I would consider a lot of forward momentum to the final goal, right? Like, we've talked a lot about it at the beginning when we were kind of looking at the bigger themes that are being examined. Rocky and I both, kind of talking about that lack of communication and the way things are in the world with, people that are more conservative and people that are more liberal, and they don't even seem to be speaking the same language and that sort of thing. It's really leaning into those sorts of ideas, and you have to make a choice at some point and what have you. And so even though there's some momentous events here, I don't know where we're going. Like, I don't know. I feel no closer to the end, a resolution of some sort for Poke than I did, before this issue, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because this one kind of had more action than a lot of the previous issues, and it's still really good and it's still really compelling. But that's what I mean by setup. In case anybody wants to push back on that, what do you mean setup? Like, there's all this stuff that happens. Poke chooses a side. Mush gets killed, Rabbit escapes. There is a lot of action in it, but in a way, for the bigger ideas, it's a little bit more set up. So anyway, I still really enjoy it. Like I said, it came in at number 5 for me. I'll throw it over to you, Rocky. What are your thoughts on it?
This made my top 3. I really enjoyed this. I thought I hear your comments. It's you can call it setup in terms of it's good. It can set up a whole slew of very interesting story arcs moving forward, and it took 6 issues to get this setup. But boy, it's been a blast. This issue was a blast, and maybe in hindsight it's predictable, but I have to admit, maybe it's just because I was just thinking differently. I never saw it coming, even though it was arguably, it was so strongly hinted at. I knew that Poke was slowly changing, sort of changing into a human or losing his zombie-like status. But that scene where Mush sees that he's got a beating heart, I thought that was so well drawn. That page is my favorite page, and Mush is like and it's the destruction of a friendship. It's like, I thought I knew you, but you're not the person I thought you were, literally now, and you've changed right before my eyes. You think differently, you're acting differently, you're acting strange, and your body is different. And now I want to eat you. You actually, I want to consume you now. And it's like, it's that nature versus nurture. Mush can't overcome his nature. You got a beating heart. He wants to eat his own friend. There's a tragedy about this, and it makes the tragedy or the impossibility of them being friends all the more horrific. And yet that's just the way it is. There's also other elements of heroism. The mother rescuing the child and basically apologizing to the other woman who rescued Rabbit. And the other woman who probably dies in the issue, she says, if Rabbit was mine, I'd have done the same thing. She didn't take offense for the mother sort of betraying her and not rescuing her. There were very human moments here, heroic moments, and just. I thought this was very, very well done. It was an adrenaline rush from beginning to end, and even the end of Mush, he was he just was relentless in his expressions of disappointment and almost hatred toward Poke, and it was really really sad to see. And you can see Poke breaking down at the end, but not only did his heart beat faster in this issue, but he also said the word rabbit. He spoke English for, I believe, the first time in this issue. Poke said Rabbit's name. And so you got to wonder, while he's going to continue to transition into a human. And as he does, you got to wonder, is he going to lose his ability to communicate with the zombies, or is he going to maintain that? There's all kinds of other questions. What changes it when you're forced to change against, like, Poke has no control over his evolution. That's what's so fascinating about this, because you talk about, we talked about maybe you and I used the political analogy, and perhaps that's somewhat of a flawed one for this series. Maybe it is, maybe it's flawed, maybe it isn't. But, we can choose what we believe. Poke can't choose what he's changing into. But even though the change is involuntary, it is influencing how he thinks, and it is influencing who he cares about and why he cares about them. And it's very fascinating what Deniz Camp is doing here. And I got to say, I really enjoy Deniz Camp's. This is probably I have to say, this is my favorite Deniz Camp series. I like this better than his Ultimates. I like this better than his Absolute. Martian Manhunter. This is actually the one that I feel the most. I feel the most for. I'm feeling this story more than ever. I even like this better than Assorted Crisis Events. To be honest, it's really grown on me, this series. And yeah, Deniz Camp. He's got a lot of different story ideas and concepts in his head. That guy. God bless him. This is my favorite.
Yeah, I don't disagree. The only thing that comes close is his. God, what was the name? Now I'm drawing a blank on it. 20th Century Men from Image, which it kind of had a lot of the same themes, but that was a little easier. It was a little more on the nose because it was clearly a United States analog and a Soviet Union analog, and very much Cold War. So there was no guessing. Like you mentioned, we put the political thing on there because it seems to make the most sense. And Deniz Camp he's not shy about his politics. So. But you could interpret it that way, or there's other ways you could interpret it as well. You could interpret it as like progress versus those that kind of long for yesteryear and that kind of thing. But I'm glad that you mentioned the woman. I tried to find her name, but I had to flip through the issue. It's not listed on the League of Comic Geeks character page. But anyway, I'm glad you shouted it out. Like I really like that moment as well, where she told Rabbit's mother, "Hey, I'm not no hard feelings. I would do the same if Rabbit was mine." So yeah, that was a great moment as well. All right, up next, Barbara Gordon Breakout. We're up to issue number 3. Mariko Tamaki is the writer. M&K Nahalapan on art. Colors by Tamara Bonvillain, Ariana Mayer on the letters. This came in last for me. I finished reading it and I was like, what? Like, I felt like nothing happened. What was the point of me reading that? Which is, in a way, a microcosm of the series overall. What's the point of the series? I don't yet know. The most enjoyable parts were the flashback moments to a previous mission where Barbara Gordon, along with Nightwing and Cassandra Cain and the Helena Bertinelli Huntress, who I feel like we haven't seen enough of lately, they're on a mission to stop the Joker. And somehow, thinking back to that mission, helped Barbara Gordon realize that maybe the pills that she's been taking are drugging her rather than helping her. Barbara Gordon's supposed to be a genius. The fact that it's taken her so long to realize she shouldn't be taking these pills, like you take the pills and then you immediately feel all weird and have all these hallucinations. I mean, I would think you could put 2 and 2 together faster than that. But for the purposes of the story, I guess it needs to be dragged out like this. But I'll leave it at that. Like, I don't really have anything else to say. Like, this hasn't been a good series. I don't know the point of it. Maybe Mariko Tamaki will stick the landing and it'll improve. But so far, it has not been resonating with me at all. So
yeah, it came in dead last for me. I don't have much to add. I'll just be a little bit more harsh. Mariko Tamaki is a better writer than this. I don't know. Again, I expressed the last on the last issue. I expressed shock that she. I mean, what was her elevator pitch for this series? I mean, did she even have one, or did she lose a bet? Because this is just boring. Like nothing happens in this issue. Barbara Gordon spends the entire issue in bed, hallucinating or being in and out of consciousness. She's basically she could be killed at any time. If they want to kill Barbara Gordon, well, just walk into her cell and kill her. Like I don't understand why they're keeping her alive. And these flashbacks, I did not understand really the point of the flashback even. Like you need to, why do you need a flashback for her to determine that maybe the pills are making her drowsy? Like that's just, like, what was the point of the flashback? And it seems to be telling a different story. This actually confused me. This took me out of where I thought maybe this could be going. And I wasn't sure where it was going, but now I'm out of this story completely. I'm out of the story completely, and I don't care how it ends. And she's just having hallucinations. What does this have to do with, how is she helping these innocent victims that she went into jail to supposedly rescue in the first place? Not that she could, because it was a really bad setup to begin with. But I guess we're supposed to forget the poor setup leading into this series, which was very forced. It's hard for me to do that. If anybody can turn this around, it's Mariko Tamaki. But she's got an uphill battle. To my knowledge, there's only 3 issues left in this series. I'm not sure what you can do in 3 issues that are going to pull readers back into this, but we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Vandal Savage is going to come for a tour and she's going to take him out, solve the Vandal Savage problem. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I agree with you. As far as variant covers go, again, I almost feel like what's the point? But we'll cover them since Rocky's showing them. The one in the middle there, Terry Dotson. The one behind Rocky is by Carl Kerschel. The one behind me is Christian Wildgoose. And then the one in the middle there, Jeff Spokes. So if any of those tickle your fancy, I didn't think any of them were particularly compelling, but it almost feels like I never saw the show. I know it was very critically acclaimed. I think it was a Netflix show, Orange is the New Black.
Yeah.
She's wearing orange in every one of these. Like, is that the feel they're trying to capture? I mean, again, I don't know because I've never watched that show. But if this is what if this is the tone of what that show was, I'm surprised the show was so successful. To be honest with you.
Well, no, the show was much better than this. The show was a lot of LGBTQ themes, but it had a lot of drama and a lot of interesting storylines. It was very good. I watched it. It was decent. This does not have that. No.
No.
I mean, this series might have LGBTQ themes implied in it, but not a good story.
Yeah, we haven't got there. To your point, like it could just be like honestly, if we want to give the benefit of the doubt, because again, we know Mariko Tamaki is a super talented writer. Won Eisner's, and there's plenty of her work that I've enjoyed. It almost feels like this is a failure of pacing. Like we're 3 issues in. And I feel like everything that's happened so far could have been in 1 issue, or maybe like 1.5 issues. Like, it feels like it's the actual point of the story hasn't even started yet. And to your point, we're 3 issues in. Like, what are we doing? What's the point?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I don't. That was a first feeling and thought I had after I finished this. Like, what was the point of me reading that?
Yeah.
I won't go so far as to say it was a complete waste of time, but it's about as close as you can get. So,
yep.
Anyway, we've already given more words than it deserves, so let's move on. Absolute Catwoman Chapter 2 is up next. The Yarn is from Scott Snyder and Shea Grayson. Bengal is the artist. Colors by Giovanni Nero. Letters by Lucas Catoni. Let me see where I rank this. I think, it fell out of my top 5. This is at number 6 for me. I was honestly pretty disappointed in this. After such a great first issue, like I thought a perfect first issue, this felt like a disappointment. I have no other way to put it. We learned more about the past of this version of Selena Kyle, which was great in terms of the Calicos and putting the gang together, and we actually get the absolute version of Helena Bertinelli. And Victoria, I'm assuming it's Vicky Vale, but it doesn't say Vale ever. So
Yeah, I guess
100% on
that
that.
too. Yeah, I think you're right. It
Yeah,
is
but
Vicky Vale.
it does kind of look like her or whatever. So I am going with that. We do see Cassandra Cain, the absolute Cassandra Cain, show up again here, but the what I felt like was missing that the first issue had was, I talked about like it felt really stylish and really slick, and it was everything that Absolute Batman wasn't. Him being this blunt force instrument, and Catwoman wasn't that. But this felt like it slowed down on the pacing, and it slowed down on the like. There's an excitement level to the first issue that I just didn't feel in the second issue. It's not bad by any means. Like I said, it did come in at number 6, but it did feel like issue 1 was up here and issue 2 is only here. It felt like for me it dropped a little bit. Now the art is still fantastic. I still very much enjoy the dialogue. I love that Absolute Catwoman was thinking ahead. I talked about that before, how by the time Absolute Batman figures out what's going on, Absolute Catwoman's 3 steps ahead. She knows that she's gonna go in and perhaps be in danger in this auction house in Switzerland or what have you, and she has the forethought to set up an escape route and all that kind of stuff. So that part is still really cool. Her various weaponry, that's all still really cool and everything. But again, it just felt like that element of excitement that I had in the first issue was missing here. So not bad by any means. And again, every issue can't be dialed up to 11 because then you have no contrast. So we'll see if it ramps back up with the next issue. Anyway, I think this made your top 5, Rocky. So you probably have
It
more to
did.
say.
Yeah, it actually made my top 3, and I still feel some of the excitement of the first issue. I still feel that it's still there. It's not going to be there forever, because there's some reservations that I have, but I love that we're getting to know the Calicos. I like that Helena Bertinelli, Vicky Vale. There's right away we're jumping in. We get a supporting cast. I've got a lot of questions. I love the fact that there's this yarn. There's this ball. It's not a ball of yarn. It's called the yarn. The fact that it's actually called the yarn part 2. And this ball of yarn might have some Brainiac links. There's hints of Brainiac perhaps because it creates alternate realities. This yarn. It's like it's got some AI themes here. We're not exactly sure what this weapon is, but obviously somebody bid she put it up for auction, and Holly of all people wanted to acquire it, and it's so obviously there's this. What's this? What is the secret of this yarn? What did Selina get herself into? What did the Calicos get herself into? Is there going to be a reunion here between her and her previous fellow thieves? I'm really fascinated. A couple of things I want to say. What makes me feel a little bit dismayed, and this is not necessarily this isn't a criticism, but it's just an observation. I got the impression when we met Selina Kyle in the pages of Absolute Batman, I got the impression that Selina Kyle, with all her Gotham friends, with Bruce and Harvey and Oswald, etc., and Edward and that all of them, I'm surprised that she became she's a multi-millionaire. She's become super rich, and she's not helping out any of her friends in Gotham. I don't know why. I got the impression that they were tight knit, and she's not. I mean, not that any of them would accept a monetary handout, but if she's that rich, she's letting her friends suffer financially in Gotham. Not that they necessarily are suffering financially, but they've been through a lot of hell, and I'm just surprised that Selina Kyle is not being more proactive in helping out her friends in Gotham after what they've been through. She's still just content on ignoring them, and she's basically ignored them. Yeah, she went back to help Batman with Bane, and that's a big deal. But what about her other friends? Or wasn't she particularly close to them? I got the impression she was. So I'm a little bit dismayed about how indifferent she almost seems to be. She goes back to have sex with Bruce Wayne, but she seems to ignore all her other friends who went through hell at the hands of Bane, and who she has to know is Jack Grimm. So anyways, that's just me. I'm sure at some point that might be addressed, but I just thought I'd put that out there. It sort of makes me wonder, geez, maybe this Selina maybe she's all about herself. Maybe she's not quite as selfless as we're led to believe. At least that's maybe I'm being unfair. It's only 2 issues in, but I'm thinking like, geez, In any event, I still enjoyed this. I'm still curious to know more about Cassandra Cain, and this made my top 3.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. I mean, the whole reason Bruce got under the thumb of Falcone, I think it's Falcone, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Absolute Falcone is because Waylon needed money for his gym, and he's supposed to throw the fight, and then he didn't, and that kind of thing. So yeah, Catwoman could have solved all that, but maybe she didn't have the money yet. Like I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
I don't know if you want to call out the covers or not.
Oh yeah. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah. Let me get them in front of me. Main cover by Bengal. It's very similar to the cover of issue 1, actually. The one in the middle there is probably my favorite. That's Lennox. Leslie Lee is great. There's a Mirko Andolfo cover. That's it there. And the one behind me is a John Boy Myers variant. And then that last one's Eric Canetti, which is a 1 in 25. So I think I just ordered the main one.
Yeah.
But I think maybe the John Boy might be my favorite. But I didn't think any of them were as good as... I mean, the fact of the matter is there were so many...
Yeah, there's
so many very retailer exclusives. And there's retailer exclusives on these ones as well. Kari Andrews has one.
Yeah,
Mayhew has one. We can't show all the exclusives.
I mean, I could, but it would take me a long time to. It takes me a while to do. It takes me about 45 minutes to do thumbnails every week, and it could take me a lot longer if I'm going to put every week.
Every issue of Absolute Batman. They DC finally did put a cap on the number of retailer exclusives for Absolute Batman, but I don't know if anybody saw the discourse last week about how much people are being charged and how much the artists are paying, whatever. It was a big thing on Twitter.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I chose not to wade into it, but it's pretty insane the number of the amount of money that some of these artists are making and retailers, whatever. And retailers like, well, if one flops, we're out the money. Like what issue of Absolute Batman has flopped? Like just when people thought it couldn't go higher, right? The animated series announcement was made, and now because they were at 400, they peaked at 409. CGC 9.8 peaked at 400, then they started to drop, and I think they got as low as 250, and then they announced the animated series, and they crept back up to I think the current record for a CGC 9.8 Absolute Batman 1 is $600. Mm-hmm. Again, over 300,000 of the first print were printed, and when you talk about issues after that, because more every issue of Absolute Batman is selling over 500,000 copies now. That's crazy. You think that it's going to maintain value, if you're buying one of these retailer exclusives for $50, $75, $100, and you think it's going to maintain value, I got a bridge to sell you, man. You guys need to chill out. These books are not worth that when it's printed in that number. The whole reason that books are the first printing is worth as much as it's worth is because there are now 500,000 people that not people necessarily, but the books do sell 500,000, right? It is, and the 300,000 was optimistic, right? They probably had orders for probably 200,000. Well, let's print an extra 100,000. It's going to be a thing, and they were right. But it's all about supply and demand. You have more people that want that number one now than there actually were books printed.
Yeah,
that's not the case right now. It's not sustainable at 500,000. So if you're spending that money thinking that you're investing and it's going to go up, I'm sorry, that's just not the case. So be careful out there, everybody. If you're spending hundreds of dollars buy what you want, spend your money on what you want. But I'm just telling you, if you're buying it as an investment, and you think, an issue 22 of Absolute Batman that you're, exclusive cover or whatever that you're paying $100 for is going to be $100 in 4 or 5 years, you're not right. I'm sorry, you're not. You've been doing this long enough. And you can go and look at any number of books. And it might not be the best to go back and look 5 years ago, because that would be 2021 in the midst of the peak comics for the pandemic. Everything lost 20%. I mean, it will show you, it should scare you, but you can go back before that and look at books that were super hot that you can now, get for much, much less. Especially books where, he's going to be a character in a movie or whatever. He's going to be in Suicide Squad. He's going to be in this. He's going to be in that. And how the bottom's falling out. So anyway, enough. Let me get off my soapbox. It's your PSA announcement for the day. Up next, we have Supergirl number 15, written and drawn by Sophie Campbell, colors by Tamara Bonvillain, letters by Becca Carey. I did enjoy this. I thought it was a good ending to the Hero of Kandor storyline that was going on. And it also is leading into the upcoming Zod storyline that we have coming on, Reign of Zod in the Superman titles. I think it's Reign of Zod, right after Reign of Superboy. Kingdom of Zod. That's what it is. Kingdom of Zod. So anyway, I did enjoy this, but that being said, it did come in at number 7 for me. We do see Supergirl get back into her classic costume, which is great. That's what you want to see. But at the same time, man, I love that. I love the costume design that Sophie Campbell came up with. The one that's mostly white, but I can understand why you wouldn't want to use that, right? Like it goes back. I've talked about this before, where there's a backup in the New Adventures of Superboy where he wears a mostly yellow costume, but it doesn't work because he's not absorbing enough yellow sunlight.
Yeah,
Because it's yellow. The color you see is the color that's reflected.
yeah.
And it's kind of the same thing if Supergirl wears white. I think she wouldn't be powerful enough, but I just love it. But the other thing that I really enjoyed about this issue, the final confrontation between Kara and Black Flame, when Kara says, her superpower is that, because Black Flame's calling it out as a weakness. You care about everybody. That's your weakness. And Kara's like, no, that's my strength. As much as I liked the Supergirl movie, despite the ending, as much as I thought they did right, that's what they missed.
Yeah.
That's what they missed. And that's exactly why Supergirl would not have killed Krem. So we now have heard, I don't know if you heard this, Rocky, but it came out in the last week or so that there was quite a bit of conflict between James Gunn and the director about the direction of the film. So my guess is the director really wanted her to kill Krem, and James Gunn probably knew it wasn't the right thing to do. But yeah, he should have read this issue and then, hey, this is who Supergirl is. She doesn't kill. So anyway, didn't make my top 5, but it was still really, really good. What are your thoughts on it?
It didn't make my top 5 either, but I did enjoy it. I've been enjoying Supergirl. Sophie Campbell's Supergirl's growing on me. I love the style of art. I love this storyline. This is classic Supergirl. It has a Silver Age feel, and it's got some. It's not afraid. Sophie Campbell's not afraid to explore darker themes, and this had some darker themes in it, no question. And this ends on a high note. It ends with we got the Luminary now. Lorlar is now the Luminary. Black Flame's been defeated. And now we even have, of course, the Thunder Girl, I guess. She's member of this super force, which is, I guess, speculator alert. First group appearance of the Super Force with Lena Luthor in there as well. And I'm not a big fan of the female Sharknado or whatever her name is, I can't remember. But in any event, it works. It's a lot of fun. This had nothing to do with Reign of the Superboys, so I can ignore the title. This had nothing to do with the Reign of the Superboys, but nonetheless, it was entertaining. But it should have been. This was a Supergirl. This was genuinely a Supergirl story, and it was about Supergirls, not Superboys. So I don't know, DC, how they crump that up. They literally, Superboy was an afterthought in this series. That's my only minor criticism of it. Yeah, but I enjoyed this, and like you say, you nailed it. The Supergirl movie just didn't understand. I mean, I just don't understand how you're going to incorporate having Supergirl murder in a movie. Wow. Yeah. Just goes to show you that, if you can't even follow the source material. I actually heard even the writer, Anna, they found an interview with her. She finished writing when she finished writing it, she thought that at the end of Tom King's Woman of Tomorrow, she thought that Krem was killed. She thought that Ruthie killed Krem. That's how she read that final page in Super. So She even got that wrong. And it begs the question, what the hell did Tom King do in the writing room? How could that misconception have been not corrected by Tom King himself if he was involved in the writing room? In any event, I got a lot of this from Grace Randolph, so this isn't from me doing my but it just makes me wonder, again, the whole source material, the importance of source material, and at least agreeing on a vision. But it sounds like they had too many chiefs, not enough Indians there. So it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, I think yeah. I mean, ultimately, the director had the final call, and if that's how he wanted it, it didn't matter
Yeah.
what Tom King said or Anna wanted or whatever.
Yeah.
It was the. I mean, the director makes that call, and that's what he wanted.
Mm.
So yeah, it is a bit disappointed. I will say, you mentioned we both mentioned Black Flame, and she doesn't. Kara decides not even to imprison her, and there's even after when we go back, and it's days later, and they're cleaning up all the destruction in the bottled city of Kandor, and you could see even in those photos of Black Flame, like I don't know that was the best decision. I get being
Yeah.
compassionate, like whatever, and no more prisons or whatever, but yeah, that page where Black Flame she's not letting it go.
Yeah.
She's not letting it go. Like
And she is a murderer. She is a cold-blooded murderer. So
yeah.
there should be some.
Right. It's right as Kara is flying out of the bottled city. Go down one. I think one more page. Yeah, right there on the bottom panel, everybody you can see. Oh, yeah, right there. Black Flame. She's giving the stink eye to Supergirl as she leaves. He's like, "Yeah, you didn't put me in prison. You're gonna pay. You're gonna pay." So I get it. I get what Kara's all about, compassion, and I get that they've done Kandor's the ruling people in charge of Kandor have made really poor decisions, and I get wanting to give her the benefit of the doubt, but I think that's going to come back to haunt Supergirl maybe a little bit. But anyway, let's move on. Up next, we have Emperor Aquaman number 19, written by Jeremy Adams. We forgot the covers again. Dang it! What is wrong with me?
Well,
yeah, main cover by Sophie Campbell, which is fantastic. That's the one behind Rocky. A lot of people might get behind that Ariel Diaz swimsuit variant. It's behind me right now, and I can get behind it myself. She looks great. The one in the middle there, Carl Kerschel, and then you had the Raza one up. Yep, that's it as well. And then there is a Chris Anka one. Yep, that's it. That one's gorgeous. That very, even though it doesn't have like the trade dress of the Saturday Evening Post, kind of, because we've seen that DC do a number of those recently. That's the vibe I get with this. So yeah, some great covers for sure. I'm not picking it up physically, but if I was, it would be a tough call between the Raza, but I think I'd go with that Ariel Diaz swimsuit one because yeah, she just looks great. Now it's time for Emperor Aquaman 15 from writer Jeremy Adams, Paolo Villanelli on art, Rex Locus on colors, Dave Sharp on letters. I will admit, I mean, the art is fine. I think Paolo Villanelli has a very strong sense of storytelling. I have no complaints about the art, but I am missing John Timms. Like, I love John Timms on this book because I think he draws, especially the underwater scenes with the bubbles and what have you, just really, really well. It was also great to see all the various Aquaman's rogues galleries. I sort of forget about some of these villains from time to time, and I love that they're labeled for people that don't know, whether it be Scavenger or the Fisherman or the Eel or Tiamat. Like, it's great. And it reminded me, man, Aquaman really does have quite the rogues gallery, almost kind of more well-defined than Superman's rogues gallery, and yet Superman you would consider to be, a more major character than Aquaman. I also really enjoyed the fact that the other members of the Justice League are questioning Arthur. We know that Hal Jordan got to see Arthur like right up close, first person, seeing him do all kinds of incredible things last issue. He comments, he commented on it last issue, comments on it, Hal Jordan, that is, at the beginning of this issue. And yeah, this power level in Aquaman even saying, I'm not even sure how powerful I can be. He gets back to Earth, and before he can even check in on Atlantis, Batman and Wonder Woman are there like, hey, we need to talk to you, getting called in front of the principal's office. But it's really cool because they're questioning him, and he's like, he has, I don't want to say an arrogance, but it's a self-confidence that Aquaman has often not had in the past. And I think it's what a lot of people, even his Atlantean subjects, I think, or others such as Ocean Master that believe they should rule Atlantis, because he didn't have that royal bearing. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like he had so much self-doubt. How can you rule? And it seems like he has that. So he has more of a regal quality, more, not over the top, like how dare you question me, but he does say, like, because Batman, they ask, well, how powerful are you? And he's like, well, that's not really, any of your business. Even though they're friends, he is feeling a little bit defensive. But then even they kind of soften it. They're like, hey, we're just worried about you. We want to make sure everything's okay. And then he does say, to be honest, I don't even know how powerful I am. And you see Batman kind of gives him the side eye. And because they're like, well, if we had to take you down, and he's like, you couldn't take me down. And I just love, I love the confidence. I love it. I love that. Like, no, you couldn't. If you wanted to stop me at the power level I'm at now, you couldn't do it. And he's right. They're all, for the most part, human, maybe with the exception of Wonder Woman. I mean, Superman's Kryptonian, but I'm pretty sure Aquaman can pull all the water out of Superman just like he could anybody else. What are you going to do? Batman, what are you going to do? He's going to pull all the water out of your cells. What are you going to do? You're going to die. You're just done, right? So, again, I love the power level. I love what Jeremy Adams is doing. I love the confidence that Aquaman has. I love the threat. Like, because we talked about it before, Rocky, in previous coverage of this, and specifically Black Manta, right? When we said the Sea Witch, Mira's mother goes to Black Manta and like, hey, we need to take out Aquaman. And we're like, what's Black Manta going to do? He doesn't even have superpowers, unless you want to call his level of hate for Aquaman, that's a superhuman level. Mm-hmm. But we were kind of wondering, how is this going to work with them not being, powerful enough to really take on an Aquaman that's at this level? Well, I guess it's rather than a level of quality, you're not going to have everybody that has the quality of power that Aquaman has, but you just get them all together. You get a big quantity and throw them at him. So that's really, we're kind of wondering how it was going to happen. And especially the fact that they have Mira held hostage, which I wasn't totally clear. Like she was able to escape with Lori, and Vivian was able to escape with them. Right. So, but could that be turned around? Like he has weaknesses is what is my point. Like there's ways you can put pressure. Maybe they threaten to blow up Atlantis itself. Like who knows? But it does feel like a threat worthy of an Aquaman that's at this level of power. So I'm really enjoying this. I've said it before. Jeremy Adams has managed to elevate Aquaman into one of my favorite DC characters. This came in at number 4 for me. I really, really, really enjoyed it. Just love the voice that Jeremy Adams is giving Aquaman. And again, like that what he tells the Justice League, if you want to take me on, you'd lose.
Yeah,
if
good luck with that.
Yeah. If I turn bad, you guys are screwed. It was great. Yeah. What are your thoughts on
this came in at number 5 for me. I actually needed, thank God that Jeremy Adams was kind enough to name all the villains. The Eel, Tiamat, Legend, Fisherman, Koramrath, Kordax, and Trock. Honestly, I don't think I'm sure they look kind of familiar to me, but I didn't remember those names. Siren and Ocean Master I know, and I've heard of Koramrath, but the rest are just, I'm drawing blanks on, because I just don't, in the past I haven't paid that much attention. I haven't put to memory a lot of Aquaman villains, quite frankly. So I'm actually really curious to see all of these heroes in action. And the great thing, because I know it's Jeremy Adams, he'll have done his homework so I don't have to. So we'll have a proper understanding of their power sets and why they are combined. There's such a threat to Aquaman, even with the leveled up Aquaman. And with Black Manta teaming up with Lolana, the Crimson Queen, who is the mother of Siren, you got to wonder what their master plan is. Now, Black Manta is, you talk about arrogance, he's the most arrogant of all. Black Manta is no fool. And I'm sure Black Manta would be quite concerned about Aquaman's power level. And he's not someone that rushes into battle against Aquaman. I don't think he'd be that foolish, especially he's got to know about Aquaman's, level of power at this point. So it's really curious to see what this battle's going to be like, because I mean Aquaman, and you talked about Aquaman's arrogance to the members of the Justice League. That's a weakness for Aquaman because he probably assumes he's more powerful than he is, and he probably underestimates the power of all of his rogues coming against him all at once with a very specific plan in mind that we are as yet unaware of as readers. So I'm really looking forward to see where this takes us. I do know that at the end, you talked about the arrogance of Aquaman. Poseidon shows up at the end, and Aquaman's done something to annoy him. My guess is Poseidon is probably just a little bit. His ego has got the best of him, and because now Aquaman is now king of the blue, and probably Poseidon fancied himself to be king of the blue or king of the waters, and that's clearly no longer the case. And Aquaman is sort of spreading his reign throughout the galaxy by setting up all these lighthouses throughout the galaxy on various planets where there's water and other places where there's water. So I'm sure it's just going to be an ego battle next issue between Aquaman and Poseidon. But in any event, it's interesting, and yeah, Jeremy Adams continues to have a lot of fun with these characters. It shows, and I didn't mind the change in art. I thought the artistic style was pretty damn good. It definitely. I'm not missing John Tim as much as I thought I would, quite frankly.
Yeah, there's part of me that just wants like the next issue to start with Poseidon basically stating his case, like, how dare you overstep, and you're controlling water all around the universe, and you fancy yourself a god, and that's my role or whatever. Mm-hmm. And Arthur just go, psh, and just dismissive, just get out of here, dude. Go cry somewhere else. Just literally just backhand him, and like, meh, you're done. Like, that's how powerful Aquaman's become. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that it'll be more than that, but that in a way that would be fun. It would be the equivalent of that very famous scene in Indiana Jones, the first one, where the guy's there and he just pulls out his gun and shoots him. This would be fantastic. In terms of covers, main cover that's there behind Rocky by regular series artist John Timms. The one in the middle is by Raza, which is very beautiful. And then quite a sexy looking Aquaman from and Mira from Ariel Diaz, which is fantastic as well. All right, moving on. Up next, to nobody's surprise, this book is not in my top 5. It's Absolute Batman number 22.
Crazy.
The Straw Man, Part 4, The Crooked House. This is the origin of Absolute Harley Quinn. Scott Snyder's the writer, Werther Del Adera on art, Frank Martin on colors, Tom Napolitano on letters. I'm not the biggest fan of the style of Werther Del Adera. I might have enjoyed this more had it been another artist. I did enjoy the reveal of who Harley Quinn's parents are. That was an unexpected surprise, and I did really enjoy that. I thought the framing sequence of her trying to tell Bruce her origin and him, just how dismissive he is, like, it's that kind of stuff that really it makes it hard for me to root for this. He's kind of a dick to her for no particular reason, or them. Like, I think they're non-binary. So, but yeah, kind of a dick to Harley, and I'm like, for no reason. And I think back to like the main universe, Bruce. Like, he's always searching for knowledge, right? Like, why would you not want to know the origin of Harley? Because there may be something there that helps you figure out what Jack Grimm is up to. And he didn't bother to listen to the story, and he missed the most important part. And that's the fact that Harley is Jack Grimm's daughter. Harley is Jack Grimm's daughter. Yeah, that was a crazy revelation that I wasn't expecting. So, I would say in terms of action, it is a little bit lower. And I kind of wonder, like, there was all this build-up for the Robins, right, with their mechs that were going after Batman, and everybody was so excited for it, whatever, when it was teased in 20, and they showed up a little bit in 20, and they showed up a little bit in 21, and they showed up a little bit. So they're showing up like a little bit in each of these issues as they're out trying to capture Batman. But I feel like they're in a way they've been an afterthought, and so it almost feels like a wasted opportunity for the Robins themselves, as opposed to if there was an issue like actually focused on them. because I mean, we know Dick Grayson more than any of them, and there's some infighting between the Robins as well, which is interesting. But I feel like I don't have enough context for it. So again, it goes back to the idea that I one of my major complaints about this series is just we're just moving too fast, and I want to slow down so I can get some context for these characters, what have you. But in terms of that, we do get quite a bit on Harley, and I did appreciate that. Like, I feel like the amount of information we got on Harley in this issue, I wish we had that amount of information about all the characters. So, again, not a surprise that this didn't resonate with me. Again, because I'm not a fan of Deladera's art, and as much as I did enjoy that reveal, there's just not enough in this particular issue to really get me excited. But I know it's in your top 5, so
easily. Yeah, it's in my top 3. And Deladera's art here is, I think it's some of the best. His best work. In fact, it's right up there with Something Is Killing the Children, and much better than his last DC effort, which was Blackest, which was the Green Lantern. Green Lantern Dark. Yeah, Dark. Yeah, which I wasn't a fan of. I didn't think that that didn't work for me there. But I thought it was great here, and the revelations in this issue, again, it's just spectacular. I'm enjoying the ride here, and boy, oh boy, there's this amp up. We learn all kinds of things about Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn is, she's got a mother who's a neurologist, and ultimately at the end, throughout the story, throughout the issue, we don't know that Harley Quinn's father is Jack Grimm. We know that Harley Quinn wants to know who her father is. Her mother wouldn't tell her, so Harley Quinn had to get her mother's DNA, and she had to do all kinds of things, and she was led to believe that her father lived in France, et cetera, et cetera. Meanwhile,
yeah, but didn't you suspect? Like, I suspected right away when she said her mother ran away from her father. Her father was in Europe. I was like, oh, I bet it's Jack Grimm. Like, I had a pretty good idea. Like, I don't know what it was about it.
I never thought about that because I read the issue. I was just enjoying the issue. I never stopped and speculated. Had I done that, to be honest with you, I thought that I didn't think it would be Jack Grimm. I thought it would be. I wouldn't have thought that anyway. I would have thought that there's going to be some other twist, just because sky's the limit with Snyder. And in any event,
yeah, but everything goes back to Grimm. That's why
I thought that would be one of your criticisms, quite frankly, and because I thought, well, just really Jack Grimm. He's got his hands and other parts of his body literally dipped in everything. I mean, the guy just, Bruce Wayne. Around. Yeah, Bruce Wayne pretends to be a playboy. Jack Grimm actually is a playboy, I think, and or a play monster playboy, whatever you want to call him, but. I thought it was quite interesting how Harley, as a young girl, was basically, her mother gave her a mallet, and they called their house what they lived in, the Crooked House, and that her mother was a neurologist and was trying to work on certain things with her father, and was against what Jack Grimm was doing, and then subsequently went missing, and then she found her mother, and then her mother is actually the Dr. Arkham now. She referred to her mother as Dr. Arkham, and her mother then switched tunes and said, no, Jack Grimm's a great guy, and we're actually helping people and curing people. So her mother seems to be manipulated. It's implied. Harley Quinn talks from the beginning as a young girl. Her mother told her, it's only true if you believe it. It's only true if you believe it. So if you're scared going to bed at night, you think of the boogeyman, you think of anything, it's only true if you believe it. You control your own mind. It's only true if you believe it. And in many ways, that Harley Quinn took that with her whole life. And there's a lot to be said between what Harley Quinn's going through and Bruce Wayne, Batman, because both of them, could benefit. Harley Quinn keeps telling Bruce Wayne that, or keeps telling Batman that. She said it's only true if you believe it. And at the end, Batman is saying Batman can't believe that he digs up his father's grave because he discovers that the body of Thomas Wayne is not in the coffin, and there's a recording from the Scarecrow telling him that his father is still alive, and that there's a recording of an old Thomas Wayne in chains saying, "Please, please don't let Bruce see me like this. Let him think I'm dead. You promised." So is Thomas Wayne still alive, or is this misdirection? What's the truth? It's only true if you believe it, Bruce. It's only true. Bruce Wayne screams at the end, "It's not true. It's not true." Well, it is true if you believe it. And Harley Quinn's been warning has been warning Batman throughout her conversation, trying to reach him, telling her story. She's trying to tell him, look, Jack Grimm has got something planned. There's more people that are going to die. This is a one massive game. Harley Quinn is telling him, look, myself and the rest of the Red Hair Gang, we're very good at misdirection. We're very good at online propaganda, but we're nothing compared to the power of what Jack Grimm is capable of. And the manipulation powers he has, it's incredible. And she's trying to warn him, but as he said, frustratingly, Bruce, Batman's not listening. And unfortunately, Batman himself continues to go down this rabbit hole, and he's falling into the hands of the Scarecrow who's manipulating him, and ultimately Jack Grimm who's manipulating him. And Harley Quinn has got one advantage over Batman. Harley Quinn has gone through her whole life deciphering between the truth and what's real, and deciding for herself in a very determined way what's true and what isn't. And she only believes stuff if she only believes things. If it's true, then she'll believe it. But she's very strong-willed, this Harley Quinn, and that's what I love about her. She's much stronger-willed than I anticipated. And at one point, Batman breaks her mallet, and that's the symbolic point of the issue where that severs the relationship, because Batman breaks her mallet, and that sort of severs the relationship. And she tells Alfred, "That's it, I'm done. I can't reach this guy." And that's really sad, because as you said, she could probably help him accomplish quite a bit. So, yeah, man. Meanwhile, of course, they're being chased by the Robins, and there's a lot of adventure in that respect in this issue. You can enjoy that. But you got to wonder, is Thomas Wayne still alive? Is Scarecrow just playing a game? Because one of the teases in future solicits is absolute Scarecrow, or pardon me, absolute Clayface. Is Thomas Wayne really still alive, or is he just Clayface? Is this a game of manipulation? Is this a game of further getting into the mind of Bruce Wayne, of manipulating him? How much of Batman's origins were orchestrated by Jack Grimm? Or does Jack Grimm just want Bruce Wayne to believe it, and it's only true if you believe it? This could be Scott Snyder speaking through Harley Quinn, saying to the reader, it's only true if you believe it. So don't necessarily believe everything you read. There might be a lot of misdirection going on here. That's why I think this is brilliant storytelling, because we can disagree as to where this is going, what these plot lines mean, what the scenes mean, how much is real, what is, what isn't. We can't trust what we've read so far. We can't trust it. I mean, who knew at the beginning in that first issue that those weren't bats, those were crows at the zoo? I mean, just again, everything you thought you knew, it's being subverted a little bit here. Martha Wayne, the Court of Owls, what? Jim Gordon, dead? What? Thomas Wayne, is this Jim Gordon still alive? Who knows? I don't know. Forget what you know or think you know. I mean, this whole thing is really starting to make me question all the plot points in this series. How much has actually really happened here? And that's what I think is Scott Snyder's master stroke. I'm beginning to question everything I've read, and I've loved everything I've read, and I'm questioning everything I've read. And so that's why this easily made my top 3. And yeah. So
I don't know. Too much of that, like if you'd never know, then it's almost like, well, what's the point of reading it then? Like, let me wait till it's all said and done.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't disagree with some of what you said, and I think it's a good call out. I didn't think of that being absolute Clayface. When the straw man Scarecrow showed Bruce, oh, your father's still alive? No, I don't believe it for a second. Jack Grimm have anything to do with Batman's origin? No, I don't believe it for a second. He's just trying to manipulate things after the fact. And we know that Bruce is falling prey to the psychological manipulation. But that's a great call out that that fake Thomas Wayne is probably Clayface. That's a great call. But here's the thing about modern comics and why it's lost some of its luster and lost some of its magic compared to what we had back in the day. We already know that the Bat is coming. We already know that Bruce becomes so disillusioned that he quits being Batman, and Barbara Gordon takes over. Absolute Barbara Gordon takes over, and she calls herself the Bat. And the reason why is because of everything that he's gone through. And I think this is exactly what you were saying about all the psychological manipulation and maybe the straw that's finally going to break his back, like Bane did, thinking his father was alive and then it turns out to be absolute Clayface or just turns out to be a fake or whatever. And so then he quits and Barbara Gordon's going to pick up. Not that Bruce is not going to come back and pick up the mantle at some point or what have you. That's 100%. But back in the day, when there wasn't instant communication, and it does have to do with the way that the comic industry works, right? Where retailers, hey, I want to know what's going to be in this book before I order it, so I know how many to order. It's kind of silly at this point. Like, you don't even need to write a solicitation for Absolute Batman. You don't need to tease anything. Just put Absolute Batman. They're going to order it, right? But again, it goes into the whole cycle of promotion and whatever. And Scott Snyder's the one at HeroesCon a few weeks ago that was the one that, or maybe it was MegaCon Orlando, I don't remember which, but he was the one that basically broke the news that Barbara Gordon was going to take over for Batman and become the Bat. All of this hits a lot harder if that happens as a surprise, right? Mm-hmm. Like you just finish whatever it is, issue 23, issue 24, he just quits. And then the next issue opens up with somebody in the costume and we wouldn't even know who it was. But all that's been kind of spoiled in a way because of the way, and I'm not lamenting it. It's just
that's just marketing. Yeah. I mean, that's
just the way that it is now, as opposed to when Rocky and I were reading books. Like when I was a kid, I had no idea what was coming, no clue. You picked up the book and you read it, and that's how you found out. So, this would all land a lot better, I think, if that were the case. But that's not the world we live in. But I will say, in terms of getting back to what I was saying about Bruce being kind of a jerk and not being very likable, I actually really like this Harley Quinn. And even though we got,
I do too.
Her or their really early days of origin, the fact that they, like you said, the symbolic breaking of the hammer, and that's when they say to Alfred, "Yeah, I'm done. I can't work with this guy." They could help. They have resources. How, though? How? Like we get the moment. We see the moment where they meet their father for the first time, and then. And that's kind of it. That's the end of the origin as they're telling it. But so how did they go from there? Because even before that, after when her mother's missing, whatever, there's, I don't want to say a helplessness, but there seems to be a vulnerability to the young Harley that is no longer there. So I'm really curious. Yes, we get the origin and we find out who their parents are, but how did they get from the discovery of Jack Grimm as their father, to where they are now with this Red Hood gang that they're in charge of? They've got clout, they've got respect, they've got leadership, they've got knowledge. Like, I'm just as interested in that. I'm more interested in that I am in reading finding more Absolute Batman. I want to know more about Harley. So great job. As much as I lament too many characters too fast, Harley might be my favorite character that's been introduced in Absolute Batman so far. So. Yeah. When it comes to the variant covers, did you have something else to add, Rocky?
No. Go ahead. The covers.
Yeah. The variant cover there, Dan Quintana, which, he's been doing race shows and store exclusives, and they've been going for a crap ton of money. Yeah. So this one is open order, so hopefully everybody gets a chance to have a Quintana cover if you want. Well, the one behind me is from the interior artist Werther Deladera. That is a 1 in 25. The one Rocky's got in the middle there is Brett Bean, which I would not have recognized it as Brett Bean art. You didn't tell me. And then there is also a Derek Chu variant, if that's it, as well. Okay, moving on to the last book that we're going to talk about this week. It's Green Lantern Corps, number 18. This one made my top 5, but I don't think it made Rocky's. So I'll give you a chance to go first. What are your thoughts on
it? This came in at number 6 for me. It just didn't quite make it. But again, Morgan Hampton. I mean, I I did enjoy it. Again, it was. I love the. I have to say, I love the cover. I love all the. I love all the characters. I really love. I love the colors of this title. I've really enjoyed the storyline. The emotional entities are in the emotional expanse. This issue has Guy Gardner, of course, the all seer, bringing Jessica Cruz in with him because they're arguing over what best course of action to take against the imminent attack by the Manhunters. And Jessica Cruz just wants to. She's got her own tactics she wants to explore, whereas Guy Gardner is trying to tell her, look, no, you come with me, come into the expanse. You got it. You don't understand what's at stake here with the emotional entities. There's a lot that you don't know. So he basically brings her into the expanse with him. And meanwhile, I mean, I got to say, the artwork here by Fernando Pasarin is absolutely incredible. How he draws the Manhunters, and of course you got the leader Manhunter who's in green with versus the blue and the red and the blue in the background. It just looks incredible. The amount of detail in every single page and all the panels is really incredible. And then you got all the, I mean, even the lettering on the title. This particular issue is titled "Don't Look Any Further." I mean, it's got multiple colors. I mean, the color work, the level of detail in the color work, you know, we as readers sometimes we take for granted. You know, it's always a shame when we say, oh, you know, this issue, it only takes 5 minutes to read. It shouldn't take 5 minutes to read if you're enjoying the pages, if you're enjoying the art. No comic should take, every comic should take longer than 5 minutes to read if you're enjoying the art. This one certainly did for me. And it wasn't because it was necessarily a lot of exposition. There's just gorgeous art. One of the things that I absolutely loved, I mean, aside from the colorful skies, is I love on the Oa's atmosphere, the rings, instead of the rings of Saturn, you got the rings of Oa that are literally a rainbow of colors. I mean, it's such perhaps a little bit of a tropey and predictable thing you can imagine, but given the fact that all the lanterns of all the various on the emotional spectrum are on Oa, it makes sense that you would have that. And it just looks amazing. And they're preparing for battle against the Manhunters. Even the battle scene, it's like one giant Manhunter hand shooting a beam of almost like an Iron Man, a repulsor beam, shooting one Manhunter through the shields and the fences of the Green Lanterns and Red Lanterns, etc. It's just incredible, action-packed, so much fun, and of course you got your glorified Transformer battle between the ultimate. You got like a Transformer Green Lantern versus a Manhunter Transformer. I mean, again, it might be a little tropey, but hey, man, this is what's current. This is what's fun. It's action-packed, and it's pretty cool. It's really cool, and I just have a lot. I don't know how you can be a Green Lantern fan and not enjoy this story just for the ride. Morgan Hampton's been doing such a good job. So like I said, it didn't make my top 5, but it doesn't mean I didn't enjoy the hell out of it. And I'm really curious to see how this is going to resolve itself, because I'm not sure how the Manhunters could be defeated at this point. And I'm really curious what's going to be the ultimate fate of the emotional entities once they're out of the expanse. How is that going to work? Lots of questions I have. Be interesting to see. Is Oa going to remain intact with all the various forces of the emotional spectrum on Oa? We'll have to wait and see, but lots of questions. But anyways, I really enjoyed this, and I do have to say there is a backup. There's a preview of Justice League Night Vision special. There's a preview in the back as well by Mark Waid and Joshua Williamson, which is actually quite intriguing as well. So yeah, this was a great issue. So what are your thoughts? I know I made your top 5.
Yeah, I hope everybody, that watched the Comic Source Weekly ordered that Night Vision special. Like I mentioned Final Order cutoff books that were this last Monday. It was for DC. I mentioned 4 of them: Night Vision special and the 3 annuals that are coming, because those are the kind of books that don't get ordered in big numbers. So it could be ones you could miss out on. So hopefully your retailer ordered enough, especially the Superman annual, because that starts the story of how Superman's returning after him being gone after the Omega tournament. So in terms of this particular issue, I don't think I think the deal the emotional entities made is they want to stay in the expanse. They feel exploited to some extent. I mean, the fact that they all got killed and had to be reincarnated, they're caught up in the machinations of mortal beings, the Green Lantern Corps versus manhunters in this case, but the Corps is fighting amongst themselves or whatever. And this idea of wisdom coming from Guy Gardner saying, yeah, there's all these different aspects of the emotional spectrum, but that doesn't mean that it shouldn't be one core, right? One core with different, that's, it's almost like a United Nations, right? Like, yes, we're all different. Yes, we all maybe gain our power from different emotions, but we're more similar than we are dissimilar, and we should be working together. I like that idea. Maybe it's a little naive from Morgan Hampton or whatever, but it's something to aspire to. And again, the fact that the wisdom's coming from Guy Gardner as the all-seer of all people, it's a refreshing take. It's a refreshing take because usually you don't think of, well, I don't think I've ever thought of Guy Gardner as the voice of reason. In fact, I don't know if I mentioned it here, but one of the panels I was on at Phoenix Comic Con is, it was, hero or not. Um, and Guy Gardner was one of the ones that was nominated, and the vast majority of the room said that he wasn't a hero because of the way he acts. This Guy Gardner is a hero. I love that he's standing up for the emotional entities. He understands them in a way that others don't. Even Jessica Cruz, who I would consider a hero, and even the way she says, "Well, we'll deploy them this way," and and that's when Guy says, "I got to pull you in. You just don't understand." Like, even using that word, like, they're not a weapon to be deployed. They're sentient beings. They deserve respect, and she didn't mean disrespect. She's just trying to do the best she can as the leader of the Corps to stop the manhunters, which they're trying to, again, we've seen this theme before in this run of Green Lantern and Green Lantern Corps from Adams and Hampton. They're trying to remove the emotion from the universe. So I love the perspective that Morgan Hampton is bringing to Guy Gardner, bringing to the emotional entities through Guy Gardner. Like, it's fantastic. And when you think, I've compared this recent run of Green Lantern to the Jeff Johns run, which I think a lot of people would agree is the gold standard of, that was when the idea of the emotional spectrums got introduced. It had Blackest Night, which a lot of people love that event, what have you. And it was just a great, great run. I think this is the best run since then. All respect to everybody that's come in between. There's been some stuff I've loved. But the reason that I say that I think this has been the best run since then is because of the way that Jeremy Adams and Morgan Hampton are adding to the lore in interesting ways without contradicting things that have come before. That is really great storytelling. That's a really great use of the mythos, and it's just really good imagination and creativity. And so that's why I think it's fantastic. Plus, we got to see basically the Lantern version of Voltron in here. So, when they do work together, based on inspiration from Joe Mullane and Kilowog, of all people. So I really enjoyed that as well, and for that's the reason that it makes my top 10. Now, I didn't give the credits, and I do want to do that. Morgan Hampton's the writer. You mentioned Fernando Pasarin. It's not just Fernando Pasarin, and if you pay attention, you can see there's various artists here. Because, like, when you look at the pages where Jessica Cruz and Guy Gardner first show up in the Emotional Expanse, it's very much a different style. So you have Fernando Pasarin, you have Juan Jose Reap, you have Will Conrad, you have Ig Guara, and then you have Auclair Albert and Jason Paz, who are inking. So Auclair is typically the inker for Fernando Pasarin, and Jason Paz is, if I had to guess, is inking the Will Conrad pages. Colors are by Matt Herms and Lee Lowridge. They did a fantastic job. You called it out before. And then letters by Dave Sharp. So it is very much a team effort. And I'm just wondering if there's so many characters in this book. I have a feeling that that's why they needed so many artists working on it. But even though there are like 5 different artists on this, I think they did a great job of, and 2 different colorists. I think they did a great job of making the art look pretty cohesive. There was never a point when I was reading it where I felt pulled out of the story by the art. So that's a credit to the entire art team, because that's not an easy thing to do when you have this many people working on a book. Other than getting that characterization of of Guy Gardner that was a little bit unexpected. The voice of reason, the voice of wisdom. We didn't get a whole lot in terms of forward momentum for the story, um, which again, that's okay because we got a ton of action, and the action scenes in this book are awesome. And again, so many
Yeah.
characters on the page, so I didn't mind that at all. Um, I do really like the idea that we could be getting a new status quo for the emotional entities because that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's really really interesting to me. So yeah, it was a no brainer for me to be in my top five. So. All right. Well, like I said, that's going to do it for the number of books that we're talking about in detail. There are a couple of other books that are out this week, facsimiles and what have you. So we've got a Batman 156 facsimile. That's a real famous cover. It's behind Rocky there with Batman carrying Robin out of the water on the beach. We also have a facsimile of the one that's behind me, one of the most famous Green Lantern covers
Of
of
all
all time,
time.
perhaps. Yeah, number 48, where Hal beats the crap out of the other lanterns and takes all their rings, and it's been homaged a ton of times. So, if you're looking for one of those, don't have one or whatever. Like God, I have so many. I don't have Batman 156, but I have so many of that Green Lantern just because it was a cool cover back in the day. I just
Yeah.
bought several copies, and then I would come across it in dollar bins, and I'd pick it up, and now it's desirable. So, all right. Did I mention? Oh, I should have mentioned you had them up there, right? The Green Lantern Corps variants. There's a design variant by Rian Gonzalez for Kyle Rayner.
Yeah.
I think it's Kyle Rayner. Yeah, and then that one in the middle right there from Jorge Fornes. I've been picking those up in addition to
Yeah.
the regular covers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're really
Look
great.
pretty cool side by side, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah, they look great. So,
Yeah.
all right, collected editions this week. We got a couple of them. Dark Moon Rising, Batman and the Monster Men. Um, it's a new trade paperback collecting the 6-issue miniseries. That's a miniseries from Matt Wagner, who you may recognize the name from Grendel. He both writes and draws that. Crisis on Infinite Earths is getting a new Absolute Edition hardcover. I already have an Absolute Edition of that. And when I say
Yeah.
Absolute, it's not Absolute Universe. It's the Absolute Editions, which are oversized. They're the same size as the original artwork. You get a chance to see the artwork in a very large size slipcase. They're not cheap though, $125, 736 pages. But I feel like that's a must for every DC fan to have a good hardcover
For sure.
collection of Crisis on Infinite Earths. Justice League of America is getting a Silver Age omnibus. It collects the first appearances, so Brave and the Bold 28 through 30, and then the first 30 issues of the Justice League comic. So $125, 896 pages for that. We've got a new YA book starring Lex Luthor called Lex Luthor Diabolical Genius. 160 pages, soft cover, $12.99. Looks interesting. I may have to check that out. Nightwing by Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo is getting its Volume 2 hardcover. I think this closes out their run, or there might be one more. Yeah, because it's issue 97 through 118, and then Nightwing 2022 Annual 1. So that's not their that doesn't finish off their run, so there must be another one coming. But anyway, it's 624 pages for $100. And then Orion, this is a follow-up to the Big Barda young adult book from DC. I tried to get an interview. I never heard back from DC. It's by Ngazi Ukazu, and I got a chance to chat with Ngazi about the Barda one when she did it, and that was great. So I was hoping for a follow-up, but yeah, I wasn't able to get a hold of anybody. But the Barda one was fantastic, so I'm sure the Orion one will be as well. And then finally, Superman's Good Guy Gang, Follow the Leader, hardcover. This is 72 pages for $12.99. Again, it's for younger readers, and it looks like a heck of a lot of fun from Rob Justice. All right, I think it's my turn to go first for rankings. As I mentioned before, coming in last is Barbara Gordon Breakout. Really hoping that book can turn it around, but for now, it's languishing in last place.
Yeah.
At number 8 for me, I've got Absolute Batman 22. I really wanted to like it more than I did, and again, I think if it had been an art style that I enjoyed, I would have liked it more. Because again, I really do like Harley Quinn,
Hmm.
but everything else, just ranked it like I usually do. What do I want to read again? And that one's low on my list to read again. Supergirl 15 comes in at 7. Absolute Catwoman comes in at 6. At number 5, I've got Bleeding Hearts, number 6. At number 4, Emperor Aquaman 19. In my top 3, at 3, I've got Green Lantern Corps 18, which my top 3 was really hard for me to choose. They were all worthy of being Book of the Week. At number 2, Fury of Firestorm, number 4. And again, that's my love of Firehawk and my love of Firestorm that bumped that one up a little bit. I know for most people it probably top 5, but maybe not as high as number 2. And then number 1, it was a surprise to me as well. Like I said, right after I finished reading, I was like, oh, this is my Book of the Week. And sure enough, nothing caught up. But I just thought it was brilliantly done. Clayface Celebrity Dirt, number 1. Comes in at number 1 for me. So, fantastic.
Wow. Yeah. Well, it's a good choice. It was a good series, good issue. Well, mine coming in at number 9 for me was Barbara Gordon Breakout. Number 3 coming in number 8 was I actually put Clayface Celebrity Dirt number 1 was coming in number 8 for me. Again, it was good. I enjoyed Supergirl 15 came in at number 7. Number 6, Green Lantern Corps 18. Coming my top 5 at number 5, Emperor Aquaman 19. Number 4, Fury of Firestorm issue 4. Coming in at number 3, Bleeding Hearts number 6. Coming in at number 2, Absolute Catwoman 2. And number 1, it was really no contest. It was Absolute Batman 22 for me. It was just, it just absolutely blew me away. It continues to get, it just continues to impressed the hell out of me, that Snyder with this series. It's just
That is funny.
yeah.
So we got
But
the same number 9. My number 1 is your number 8. And my number 8 is your number 1. I love that symmetry.
Yeah,
We
but
both had the same last book, but yeah, it's so funny because again, I've not said, and I never will say that Absolute Batman is a bad book, and like it's technically not it's a very good technical comic, very good. Like if I have any complaints about it technically, it would be the pacing, but that's a deliberate choice that Snyder and the creative team are making to have it paced the way that it's paced. It just is not paced the way that I like my books to be paced. So it's so interesting, and I've talked about it before. Clearly, I'm in the minority because this book continues to resonate with people. I mean, I see it every week on social media, retailers especially that are getting a chance to read it early, and they're like, "Oh, this next issue is like it's just so awesome," whatever. And I mean, it's not like it hasn't been in my top 3 before.
Oh yeah.
I think the last time, I think it might even been my Book of the Week when the final confrontation between Bane and Absolute Batman, where he dropped a building on his head. And still one of my favorite comic book moments of the past few years is Batman punting that kid in issue 3 or 4, whatever it was. So yeah, there's a lot to like. I love Absolute Harley Quinn. Might be my favorite Absolute character after Absolute Superman, like even more than Absolute Wonder Woman. So yeah. Anyway, that does it for this episode, everybody. Appreciate you joining as always. Don't forget, if you're checking us out on YouTube, all the Comic Source content is available on your favorite podcasting app or platform with thousands of past episodes to go and listen to. So just do a search on your app or platform of choice for the Comic Source, and you can subscribe. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Comic Source YouTube channel. As long as you're here, you can check out the Comic Source Weekly. It comes out every Saturday. I go over all the news for the week, bestsellers for the previous week, what I think hit for the current week, and final order cutoff for the upcoming Monday. I did go 5 for 5 this last week, so my track record, I think I was
pretty good.
I think I was 6 for 6 the first week, and then 5 for 7 the second week, and then 5 for 5. So whatever that adds up to. I've missed like 3 out of whatever that is, 22. So or 17. So yeah, pretty good ratio. But I mean, it has been relatively easy, right? Like the week where it's like, okay, I've got 2 final issues for the Ultimate Universe, and I've got 2 absolute titles out. You got those are 4 right there. That's it, right? And I think the 5th one was Amazing Spider-Man. So yeah,
Uh-huh.
it's not like I'm winning the lottery here with really hard predictions. It's pretty.
Yeah,
These are pretty.
not necessarily Nostradamus, but it's all good.
Yeah. But it is nice. It is nice to be validated. Like, hey, I actually do know what I'm talking. It was that first week when I went like 5 for 5 or 6 for 6 or whatever it was that really, really surprised me. Because I called a couple of them that weren't necessarily ones that you would think, because they were non-Big Two books, and I still managed to get them correct. So anyway, again, appreciate the support, everybody. One last thing I'll mention: I do have some space on my Threads account, so I put out the cover a day every day, and I'm doing Firestorm right now. Started with the Firestorm miniseries. We've now moved to the 80s Firestorm series that ran for 100 issues or whatever. And again, I tag people in these when I do it, different people for different social media platforms. So Twitter is full. People requested, I added them. Same thing with Blue Sky. But I have room. There isn't a limit for Instagram. So if you want me to tag you so you can see whatever cover I'm posting every day on Instagram, or you want to have me tag you on Threads where I still have some room, just reach out to me, reply to one of the posts of the cover on those platforms, and I will add you. Because again, I do still have room on those 2. But anyway, that's going to do it for this episode. Appreciate the support as always, everybody, and we'll talk to you next time.
Catch you later.